Hello, and thank you for checking out the first presentation in my Superintendent's Learning Series for parents. To start this series, I'll be focusing on the continuous cycle of improvement and things that we do in the division to support students that are relative to our education plan and the survey which parents complete. I hope to align some of the questions from the survey with actions we've taken so that you're better equipped to complete the survey. You should have received an email from the division with a link to the Alberta Education and Childcare Survey. If you have questions, contact your principal. We'll want to make sure that we get positive comments on the things that we're doing that are working well for you and ways we can improve. So as I said, starting on January 26th, parents will have the opportunity to provide feedback about their child's school through the Alberta Education Assurance Survey. Your child's principal will reach out with a one-time code to access the survey online. If you prefer to do a paper survey or would like it translated into a different language, your principal can look into that as well for you and should be able to do those immediately for you. Today I'm hoping to share some highlights of the strategies and actions that we have in place to meet needs of students in our division and assure you that we're taking actions to make improvements. My only caveat is that I won't be able to list every single thing that we're doing in the time that we have today. So every spring, each school designs an education plan that aligns to the divisions and priorities. That plan is based on what we learn after listening to schools and their community members, as well as an analysis of student data from multiple sources. There are a number of focus areas that Alberta Education Childcare asks about in the annual survey, and a few are noted on the slide in the orange. So areas like student growth, quality of education, safe and caring environments, etc. And there's even more categories, but I just wanted you to understand that there are certain areas that they ask about. As a school division, we follow the model of continuous improvement to ensure that we're always doing better for our students. So we learn, we plan, then we act and reflect on everything we do. And once we have that reflection done and we've thought about what's working and what isn't working, we're back at the learn stage, and it's just a continuous cycle that goes all year long. Some of the questions you might ask will be about literacy and numeracy. So are the literacy and numeracy skills that your child is learning useful, and are they learning what they need to know? I've listed some of our actions on the slide, but in addition to that, I want to talk about priority area 1, which is success for all, and let you know that we're making sure that students have the foundational skills that they need when they need supports. Supports does not always mean an educational assistant, because we need to ensure that these students can develop into successful and independent individuals. However, that may look for them. Everybody's different. Examples of how we're improving is we have numeracy screeners to help identify needs in literacy and numeracy. We have a literacy and numeracy framework, which guides teachers in the foundational skills development. And that is something that they might focus on during Professional Learning Fridays. We have a literacy coordinator who helps build capacity in our staff, again, sometimes on Professional Learning Fridays, sometimes after school. And we intentionally use digital tools to support our learners. We have ongoing professional learning that ensures all of our staff are collaboratively engaged in continuous improvement for instruction, which benefits our student learning. Because if the teachers can learn from one another, then they can implement that into the classroom, and that further helps support the learning of our students. Along with these foundational skills in literacy and numeracy, teachers are learning best approaches for differentiated instruction and differentiated assessment. And what that means is not everybody has the same learning style or can handle the same amount of content. So they might have different ways to approach the way they're instructing students, as well as assessing them. Outside of Professional Learning Fridays, teachers are also taking part, as I said, in after-school learning sessions, either in person or online, which demonstrates that they are continuously trying to improve. Priority Area 2 talks about safe and caring and respectful learning environments. So questions like, is your child safe at school? Do students at your child's school respect one another? And so we're currently gathering feedback from different focus groups in order to create a well-being framework for our schools and our staff, which includes our students as well. Last year, we launched CASA Classroom in partnership with the Catholic School Division and CASA to support students who were challenged in the regular classroom. This is a baby step and will continue next year. And in the future, in late 2027, early 2028, CASA House will be coming to Fort McMurray, where we will have even more classrooms to support students with these needs. Our We Belong Advisory Committee has been working hard over the last 4 years to create a strategic plan and a plan for implementation for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are currently piloting a reporting system at 2 of our schools to decrease in incidents of racism and discrimination. And all of our schools have restorative practice teams, which are trained and educated in partnership with funding from the RCMP. We are building capacity in our staff with a new preventative approach for crisis management in classrooms. All of these are just a few examples of the way we are continuously improving in the area of creating safe, caring, and respectful environments. One of the questions we'll ask about access to supports and services, questions like, can your child easily access programs and services for help with schoolwork? Or can they get help with non-academic problems, etc.? The Board of Trustees has been advocating for better funding over the last 4 years, and they continue to do this to ensure schools have what they need so that students can be successful. And that is in all areas, including access to supports and access to supports and services. One result has been a new funding model, which better meets student needs. However, the board will continue to advocate for an even better model moving forward. Fort McMurray Public School Division is 414% more complex than the provincial average when it comes to student needs. I know that sounds exaggerated, but it is true. Because of limited funding, we are challenged to provide the necessary supports and services. But we're hopeful that the new complexity and class size panel recommendations will support our needs better. Currently, we utilize a tiered intervention model where we use research-based universal supports to all students in the classrooms. This includes the regulated classroom, which has not yet been adopted by all of our schools, but is one small piece of ways we are approaching. In addition, we are lucky to have school counselors and mental health therapists at every school, as well as a family counselor and a play therapist on our team. Important to note, and part of the work that the board is doing, is that these positions are not all funded by the government. Some of these are funded externally through industry and community. And so we're very lucky to be able to access grants and funds for this purpose to ensure that our students have at least one counselor or mental health therapist in our schools. We currently have about 350 educational assistants supporting individual students, and we have 6 special programs to support different complex student needs. We have a behavior therapist who is contracted to assist the behavior support teacher that we have in our division. We use a needs-based assessment currently to determine where the supports will go, and we frequently have spent beyond our budget in inclusive education in order to meet the ongoing student needs throughout the year. But the money pot is not, it's not a bottomless pot. And so there is a point in the school year where we become restricted in the funds that we have left. We build capacity in staff during our PLFs, including dedicated mental health learning time as well. And so again, I'm telling you there are so many strategies that we have in place that we're trying to meet the different needs of all of our students in order to get the access to supports and services that they need. Strengthening parental and community partnership asks questions such as, to what extent are you involved in decisions, or how satisfied are you with the opportunity to be involved in your child's school? Any parent or guardian is considered a member of their child's school council. I think often that this is unknown to parents. School council is not a group that does the fundraising at your school. That's also a little known fact, I believe. The school council is actually your link to the principal and the opportunity to be involved with decisions at your child's school. Each school council elects an executive, but any parent can attend the meetings as a member. The school council provides an advisory role, offering input on school policies, budgets, and education plans to the principal and to the school board. They act as a bridge for parent engagement, communication, and support for student learning. And rather than direct management or fundraising, this is their focus. Sometimes the same parents will sit on the school society, which is the fundraising group, and the meetings may even be held back to back, but they are two different groups, and only the school council is recognized in the Education Act. The society itself is incorporated and their own entity, and so that is the difference between the two groups. Representatives of the school council also meet with the school board 4 or 5 times a year and have their voice heard directly by the board. This learning series that I'm doing right now is done throughout the school year to provide transparency and education to parents. We also have an active elders council, a student advisory council, and much more. And we use multiple communication platforms to share our story and engage through surveys and thought exchanges. Through the survey, we hear what you're saying, and then we share what we're doing through education, such as this learning series, or perhaps the principal shares information about your school with you through newsletters. And these are just examples of some actions that have been taken as a result of comments from surveys and school councils. So, for example, you want schools that are safer, where students respect one another. We have expanded our education for diversity, equity, inclusion, the training, and expanded restorative practice in all of our schools. We're always trying to improve. Each school develops their own education plan and results report as outlined by Alberta Education and Childcare. We plan, we act on our plan, we reflect, and we learn, starting the cycle over again for continuous improvements. Our needs-based budget supports the work we're doing in priority areas. Each year brings different challenges. However, our focus is always on the students and their needs. And what we need is to hear about what's working well for parents, along with what needs to change. If we don't know what's working well, then we could end up changing something that we didn't know was working well for parents. So principals will send out the survey codes for the online survey for Alberta Education and Childcare. If you need paper copies, you can ask the principal. If you need translated copies, there are a limited number of languages available. Also ask the principal. Thank you for your time. Please feel free to reach out to me via email if you have further questions. It's annalee.nutter@fmpsd.ab.ca on the screen for you right now. I'm always open to hearing any suggestions you have. Please reach out. Thank you very much. Once again, please contact your principal if you have further questions about the survey. Perhaps you didn't receive the code. They can help you with that for sure. And we hope that you'll complete it. It opens on January 26th and closes March 6th. Thank you so much.